न प्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, Text 33. Tatha na te madhava tavakaha tavakaha kvachit. Tata na te madhava tavaka kvachit. Brashyanti margat tvayi baddha sauhridaha. Brashyanti margat tvayi baddha sauhridaha. Tvaya abhigupta vicharanti nirbhaya. Tvaya abhigupta vicharanti nirbhaya. Vinayaka anikapa murdasu prabho. Vinayaka anikapa murdasu prabho. तथा न ते माधवतावका क्वचिद् भ्रश्यन्ति मार्गात् त्वयि बद्धसौहृदाः. त्वयापि गुप्ता विचरन्ति निर्भया विनायकानि कपमूर्धसु प्रभो. तथा न ते माधवतावका क्वचिद् भ्रश्यन्ति मार्गात् त्वयि बद्धसौहृदाः. त्वयापि गुप्ता विचरन्ति निर्भया विनायकानि कपमूर्धसु प्रभो. Tatha, like them, the non-devotees. Na, not. Te, they, the devotees. Madhava, O Lord, husband of the goddess of fortune. Tavakaha, the followers of the devotional path, the devotees. Kvachit, in any circumstances. Brashyanti, fall down. Margat, from the path of devotional service. Tvayi, onto you. Baddha sauhridaha, because of being fully attached to your lotus feet. Tvaya, by you. Abhiguptaha, always protected from all dangers. Vicharanti, they move. Nirbhayaha, without fear. Vinayaka Anikapa. The enemies who maintain paraphernalia to oppose the Bhakti cult. Murdasu on their heads. Prabho, O Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhacharna Arvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. O Madhava, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord of the Goddess of Fortune, if devotees completely in love with you sometimes fall from the path of devotion, they do not fall like non-devotees, for you still protect them. Thus they fearlessly traverse the heads of their opponents and continue to progress in devotional service. Can you repeat the translation? O Madhava, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord of the Goddess of Fortune, if devotees completely in love with you sometimes fall from the path of devotion, they do not fall like non-devotees, for you still protect them. Thus they fearlessly traverse the heads of their opponents and continue to progress in devotional service. Purport. Devotees generally do not fall down, but if circumstantially they do, the Lord, because of their strong attachment to Him, gives them protection in all circumstances. Thus, even if devotees fall down, they are still strong enough to traverse the heads of their enemies. We have actually seen that our Krishna consciousness movement has many opponents, such as the deprogrammers, who instituted a strong legal case against the devotees. We thought that this case would take a long time to settle, but because the devotees were protected by the Supreme Lord, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we unexpectedly won the case in one day. Thus, a case that was expected to continue for years was settled in a day because of the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was promised in Bhagavad Gita 9.31. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. In history, there are many instances of devotees like Chitraketu, Indradyumna, and Maharaja Bharata, who circumstantially fell down but were still protected. Maharaja Bharata, for example, because of his attachment to a deer, thought of the deer at the time of death, and therefore in his next life he became a deer. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, tejati ante kalevaram. Because of protection by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, the deer remembered his relationship with the Lord and next took birth in a good Brahminical family and performed devotional service. Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Abhijayate. Similarly, Chitraketu fell down and became a demon, Vitrasura, but he too was protected. Thus, even if one falls down from the path of Bhakti Yoga, one is ultimately saved. If a devotee is strongly situated in devotional service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has promised to protect him. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. But even if a devotee circumstantially falls down, he is protected by Madhava. The word Madhava is significant. Ma, Mother Lakshmi, the mother of all opulences, is always with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if a devotee is in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the opulences of the Lord are ready to help him. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir, Matir Mama. Bhagavad Gita 18.78. Wherever there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and his devotee Arjuna, Partha, there is victory, opulence, extraordinary power, and morality. The opulences of a devotee are not a result of karma kanda vichara, A devotee is always protected by all of the Supreme Lord's opulences, of which no one can deprive him. Tesham nityabhayuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Thus, a devotee cannot be defeated by any opponents. A devotee, therefore, should not deviate knowingly from the path of devotion. The adherent devotee is assured all protection from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus ends the Bhaktivinoda purport and translation to Canto 10, Chapter 2, Text 33 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is a very encouraging words spoken by the demigods, Lord Krishna, who was in Mother Devaki's womb in the prison house of Kamsa. Madhava Tvaibhadda Sauhridaha. Madhava is referring to Krishna, who is the husband of the goddess of fortune. So this word has a specific significance which Prabhupada explains in the purport. We will discuss that later. So Madhava, Tvai Baddha Sauhridaha. The devotees who are very attached to your lotus feet, in complete love with you. Baddha Sauhridaha, who are in complete love with you. Very, very attached to your lotus feet. Kvachit Brashyanti Margat. Sometimes they may be found to be Brashyanti Margat, to be deviating from the path of devotional service. But Tathana they don't fall down like the non-devotees. Although sometimes devotees, even being attached to the Lord's lotus feet, are sometimes found to slip away from devotional service or bhakti, still, tathanate, they cannot be compared to non-devotees. They don't fall down like non-devotees. Why? Because Vaya Abhigupta. They're always protected by you, Tvaya Abhigupta, from all dangers. So, because the Lord personally protects the devotees, therefore devotees, even though there is a temporary or an accidental or a circumstantial fall down from bhakti, from their service to the Lord, they don't fall down like karmis or non-devotees, because they are personally protected by the Lord. Furthermore, it is explained by the Devatas, Vichranti Nirbhaya. They travel everywhere without any kind of fear. Nirbhaya. Murdasu Prabho. On the other hand, The very nice translation by Prabhupada. They fearlessly traverse the heads of their opponents. Murdasu Prabho, O Lord. Vicharanti Nirbhaya Murdasu Prabho. They traverse the heads of their opponents. Vinayaka Anikapa. Meaning, Vinayaka means obstacles, problems, or these non-devotees or the demons. They do so many planning to disturb the devotees' progress in devotional service or in their service to Krishna. Vinayaka Anikapa. Yet, surprisingly, they continue to progress in their march towards their service to the Lord, in their march of progress in devotional service. So the non-devotees cannot stop the progress of the devotees. So this is a very encouraging verse, especially for the neophyte devotees who are not yet fixed up in devotional service. But this verse also refers to devotees, even if fixed up, still rarely there is a possibility of fall down. So it addresses both these cases. Still, a devotee, either in the beginning or in the advanced stage, for whatever reason, he slips away from the path of devotional service, there is no danger for him. Krishna will personally protect such devotees. Tvaya abhigupta. Personally, the Lord will take charge of such devotees. So we should understand our position in this material world. The spirit soul, originally, constitutionally, is Krishna conscious. That is the nature of the spirit soul, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has indicated, Jivera Swarupahaya Krishnera Nitya Dasa. The Swarupa of the Jiva is to be an eternal loving servant of Krishna. It is the Swarupa of the Jiva. Swarupa means something which is not artificially acquired or imposed. Sometimes when devotees preach to non-devotees about Krishna consciousness, they sometimes pose this argument: if we want, we will become Krishna conscious. You don't have to preach to us. Sometimes they think preaching is a kind of force applied upon the individual's free will or liberty. So preaching is not a forced activity. It is a process of awakening the jiva from his forgetful state of Krishna consciousness. That's all. It is not a forced activity. When we preach, they think, no, don't push me, don't force me. Preaching is not forcing or pushing. It is reminding you of your eternal constitutional position as a servant of Krishna. That's all. So that is why it is said in the scriptures, there's one nyaya called Supto Hita Nyaya. Supto Hita Nyaya means Supta Utitha Nyaya. Nyaya means logic. Supta means sleepy state. Utitha means to wake up or to get up. So Supta Utitha Nyaya. That means the logic of waking up from sleep. So what does this logic say? Just like if somebody is sleeping, taking rest, he forgets what he is. He forgets his identity. He may be a male, female, maybe belong to a particular family, particular country, particular caste. He may be married, he may be having children, maybe in a particular house. Everything is forgotten while one is sleeping. The moment he wakes up, immediately he is reminded of everything. He knows what he is, his job, his family, his connections. Everything is awakened, isn't it? As though, he has not slept. What was he the previous day? The moment he wakes up from sleep, immediately everything is awakened. When he wakes up, so long he continues to sleep, it is forgotten. Similarly, the scriptures clearly indicate by this logic, the spirit soul is sleeping from the spiritual perspective. Hmm. Actually, although we have woken up now, actually we are sleeping spiritually. Because if we wake up, that's called Atma Sakshatkara, self awakening or self realization. If the spirit soul awakens to his constitutional status, immediately he will realize he is a servant of Krishna. And there'll be no bewilderment, no confusions, no doubts about this. And he'll be naturally engaged in his service to the Lord. Naturally. Just like when you wake up, what you are becomes known to you. Becomes obvious. Similarly, when we wake up to Krishna consciousness state, then you know you are a eternal servant of Krishna. You don't belong to this world. You belong to the spiritual world. And your eternal duty is in fulfilling your service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. But until we wake up, the soul awakens his Krishna consciousness, we will be in Maya. So therefore, preaching is like the awakening process. So how does a sleeping man wake up? By some sound. That's the most effective process, by sound. Either by alarm or somebody wakes you up. Mr. John, wake up. It's time up. Like that, the mother may call the son. So when somebody is calling out, immediately you awaken. Similarly, this preaching or this chanting of Krishna's name is that awakening process. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaye Uday. Shravana Adi, beginning with chanting Krishna's name, hearing about Krishna, and all these devotional activities, Shuddha Chitte, the consciousness becomes purified, Karye Uday, and the soul awakens his real Krishna consciousness. Then he's ready to serve Krishna. Oh, I'm eternal servant of Krishna. My duty is to serve Krishna. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. The spirit soul is eternally perfect in Krishna consciousness. Krishna Prema. He is eternally in Krishna Prema or in love with God. The spirit soul constitutionally and eternally is in love with God. Sadhya Kabunai. There's no question of any imposition of the soul in this regard. It is not an imposition. Just like I'm a male, I'm a female, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian. This is an imposition on the soul. I'm a human being, I'm an animal. This is an imposition on the soul. The false or rather a temporary designation, not eternal designation of the soul. The eternal designation of the soul is a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, eternal lover of Krishna. Therefore, this preaching is only an assisting process to awaken the jiva to his Krishna consciousness. But if the soul is eternally Krishna conscious, then why did he come to this material world? So that is described very nicely. Because of two reasons. One is बुलिया कृष्ण जीव भोगवांच करे निकटस्थ माया तारे जपटिया धरे. It is described that Buliya Krishna Jeev, The jiva bhuliya Krishna, has forgotten Krishna. Why? Bhogavancha kare, in order to fulfill his material desires. Fulfill his material desires. And to lord over material nature and the jivas. Lord over. To boss over. To control. To feel that others are depending on me. All these things are Maya. So, Nikatastha Maya Hare, Japatiya Dhare. Therefore, then the character of Maya will come between us and Krishna. Moment the desire to enjoy independent of Krishna, desire to enjoy is not wrong, is not sinful. But to desire to enjoy independent of Krishna is the sin. Or the original sin, as sometimes the Christians say, they talk about the concept called original sin. This is that original sin. What is that? The desire to enjoy independent of the Lord. We can enjoy in partnership with the Lord, in association with the Lord. That is the whole bhakti process and bhakti tattva. We are meant to enjoy in the company of the Lord. Prabhupada always spoke about this example. The finger cannot enjoy independent of the body, but it can enjoy in connection with his body. The finger should assist the body, then he will also be happy. He'll mix the food and put it in the mouth. Then when the stomach is supplied with nutritious food, the finger will get its energy. But if the finger wants to enjoy independent, he'll become sick. Suppose he gets separated from the body, then there's no more blood supply. Then that finger will rot and you just got to discard it. Similarly, when the spirit soul gets separated from the Lord, we will rot in this material world. That's why Prabhupada many times uses this phrase. The living entities are rotting in this material world. It's from this example, because the finger gets separated. Now you see it is so nice, right? But if it is fallen down, it's separated from the body, there's no blood supply, it will actually rot. You can't stand there, right? Bad smell. Similarly, when the spirit soul has independent plans from the Lord, independent plans of enjoying in this material world, he will rot in this material world, which is actually a fact. So that's why we're all, rotting. That means we're all suffering so much in this material world. And we should also keep in mind that since time immemorial, we have come to this material world with the idea of enjoying and enjoying jivas. Every possible opportunity to enjoy oneself. So this desire is latent and very strongly rooted in our consciousness. The desire to enjoy without the Lord. With the Lord means we'll be in Vaikuntha. As I said, enjoyment is not wrong. It's not sinful. Anandamayo abhyasat. The nature of Atma is to enjoy. How can you be suffering? People think spiritual life is suffering. How can spiritual life be suffering? That's why they don't take up spiritual life. They don't take up chanting. They don't want to come to temple regularly. They don't want to practice spiritual life regularly because they're afraid that we'll develop vairagya. Very afraid. This term vairagya is it's like Karela. In Kannada we say hagalkai or bitter like neem leaf. They're very afraid of spiritual life because they're afraid that we'll develop vairagya. If vairagya means they think it is shunya. They think vairagya means being away with all kinds of happiness, enjoyment. This devotee is suffering so much. And they take pity on devotees. So have you observed that? If you come to preaching with devotees, you will see sometimes the karmis, no, some of the karmis are angry and envious. So the karmis, they're not angry. Actually, they take pity. Ayo, Papa. Pity means, Ayo, Papa. Young boys, or even old people, whatever, whoever. Ayo, Papa, they think. Why? This is we ask. First time when I confronted this situation, I was, because I really don't have an idea that they really think like that. I'm saying 28, 27 years back. When I new to Krishna consciousness, 27, 28 years back. Somebody told me, Ayo, Papa, I really feel really, why is he feeling pity on me? Because, you've given up all enjoyment, all happiness. They truly feel sorry for devotee. Because they think there is no enjoyment, he's given up all enjoyment. No, we have given up one kind of enjoyment to accept another kind of enjoyment. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Param Drishtva Nivartate. It is also psychological and natural, and within our experience, you give up lower form of enjoyment for a higher form of enjoyment. You give up something low for something high. Everywhere we observe this, isn't it? Everywhere we observe this. You give something better, you will give something lower. We are always aiming for something better. There is stale food and there is good hot food. Which one would you prefer? Just like in prison house, you will get stale food. Sometimes the prisoner are supplied like that as a kind of punishment or something like that. So the stale food and this fresh, hot, nutritious food. Obviously, you will prefer the nutritious food. Why will you go for the stale food? So, like that, if we are giving up one kind of enjoyment, that means we are seeking higher quality of enjoyment. That is described in the Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter. Spiritual life means to actually be situated in the platform of joy. Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha. Yasmin sthito na dukkena gurunapi vichalyate. Characteristically, Krishna said the state of samadhi or Krishna consciousness means a state of joy and happiness. Characteristically, spiritual life is characterized by joy and happiness, which does not come without peace. Therefore, peace is the baseline. After you attain peace, peaceful life, then you become joyful. If you're not peaceful, you can't be joyful. Therefore, you can see devotees, they become very peaceful, being sheltered by the Lord's lotus feet. They know they have an able shelter to recline, to repose. Take shelter of, to take support of. They have an immediate support, very able support. Nothing to worry. Therefore, they become very peaceful. And therefore, they're very joyful. But the non-devotees cannot have this benefit of peace, forget happiness or joy. Yam labdva cha aparam labham. And he attains the highest state of happiness because of Krishna consciousness. Na adhikam tataha. There is nothing higher than that. Na adhikam tataha. There is nothing higher than that. And yasmin sthitaha. If we sit, because of being situated in that state of Krishna consciousness, yasmin sthitaha na dukkhena gurunapi. There is no cost of misery. Na dukkhena. Gurunapi vichalyate. If there are extremely agitating and disturbing situations, Guruna means very heavy, very big disturbances. Vichalyate means disturbances, agitations. Is absolutely peaceful. Absolutely peaceful. Actually, I have already termed as Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada translate that verse by saying, this state, it's a surprise he left it there. This state, finally, last two words he says, this state is called Krishna consciousness. If one is able to situate himself in the state where there is no more misery, no agitations, no disturbances, complete joy. That state is called Krishna consciousness, which is the original position and status of every jiva. But because of these two diseases of bhoga, the desire to enjoy and the desire to lord over the jivas, we have lost this status. So we should know, since time immemorial, the jivas had been trying and trying and trying to exploit material nature, to squeeze out enjoyment in this material world, and we had constantly been failing. What is the proof that we have failed? Till now we are trying. That is why. It's an obvious fact. Till now we are trying. That means we have not got. That is why. And you will never get it. Because in this material world, you cannot expect happiness. And matter cannot give you pleasure. Is the first illusion and cheating by Maya. We are actually cheated by Maya. We're actually cheated by Maya. There is pleasure in this world. How can matter give pleasure? Pleasure is a life symptom. There can only be an exchange of pleasure between jiva and jiva, life and life. Matter cannot provide pleasure, nor can it experience pleasure. Only jivas can give pleasure and take pleasure and experience pleasure. How can matter experience? We should use common sense. And we are trying to squeeze out pleasure from every material product, be it a gadget or a vehicle or food, material food, I mean to say, or a house, or a relationship based on bodily concept of life, based on matter concept of life. How can there be pleasure? Because both the sides, what is life is not known. How can there be pleasure exchange? It is simply illusion. The relation between two persons in this world is simply illusion. The pleasure which they exchange is simply illusion. That's why they become frustrated after some time. Because they don't get pleasure. Pleasure is between soul and soul, not body and body. How can there be pleasure between body and body? Matter and matter, in other words. There's no pleasure. Just think about it. We always give this example. This cushion is there. This wooden asana is there. This is a very soft portion, isn't it? Whether this asana is a very hard portion, wood, made of wood, this asana, wood, is it experience any kind of pleasure because of this cushion on it? No. But I, the spirit soul sitting here on this cushion, I'm experiencing some kind of pleasure. Actually, it is not possible. Matter and matter cannot experience pleasure. Similarly, this body and this cannot experience pleasure. So it's a concoction. It's a concoction. We have to come out of the duality of material nature, hard and soft. That is why a transcendentalist or a self-realized soul is not disturbed by happiness and distress. Something hard, something soft. These are all simply, duality. Presentation or manifestation of duality. And we become disturbed. Or we become happy. Both are illusion. Happiness is only possible on the spiritual platform. Rather, any kind of experience is possible only on the spiritual platform, not on the material platform. Then what is happening in this world? A perverted reflection of all those experiences are experienced in this world. A perverted form of all these experiences, spiritual experiences, are experienced by us in this world. That's why Krishna says in the 15th chapter, Urdhva Moolam Adashakam, Ashvattam Prahuraviyam. Everything is a perverted reflection in this material world. So, since time immemorial, we have been trapped in this way, and we have been pursuing happiness for millions of lifetimes, and still we have not attained happiness. Therefore, we are still hunting or searching for happiness. And sometimes, by the Lord's grace or Vaishnava's grace, we come in touch with devotional service and spiritual life, where we experience true happiness, constitutional happiness. But because we have not become expert in devotional service, sometimes there's a possibility of accidental fall down. But if one is firmly fixed in bhakti, then Krishna will protect such devotees. Krishna will protect such devotees. Such accidental fall down should not be taken very seriously. Krishna will again reinstate him in devotional service. That is Krishna's protection and declaration to the devotees. Many references Prabhupada quoted in the purport. Kaunteya pratijanihi namay bhakta pranashyati. Declare it boldly, O Arjuna, that my devotees never perish. So Krishna extends personal protection. Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little advancement on this path of devotional service will save one from very great dangers. Very great dangers. There are umpty number of such references throughout the scriptures. And practical examples, even in Bhagavatam. Therefore, one should not criticize devotees who have a temporary setback or fall down from the path of devotional service. If they have rendered sincerely devotional service, then Krishna will surely protect them and bring them back to the fold of devotional service. There could be a temporary setback. But of course, we should try our best such that even the temporary setbacks should not occur in our life. For that, one should become very serious and alert. What is needed is seriousness and alertness. If one is not serious and alert, then there is a possibility of slipping away. What is alertness? Always you are conscious. It's called alertness, right? Like a police, night duties, always alert about any thief, running into anybody's house or bank. So always alert. His eyes are open. Always alert. Doesn't sleep. So like that, if one is alert in Krishna consciousness, then generally one will not fall down. But even if one falls down, because of his attachment to Krishna, Krishna will personally take charge of such devotees. Therefore, no one should criticize such a devotee. In fact, Krishna has warned in the Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter. If somebody criticizes such a devotee, actually Krishna has warned it is wrong on his part. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadureva sa mantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. Actually, two lines Prabhupada explains there in the purport. The word sadureva, he is saintly, are very emphatic. They are warning to the non-devotees that because of an accidental fall down, a devotee should not be derided. He should still be considered saintly, even if he has accidentally fallen down. That is sadureva. Then further Prabhupada continues, and the words mantavya is still more emphatic. If one does not follow this rule and derides a devotee, derides means criticizes the devotee for his accidental fall down, slipping away from chanting, from devotional life. Still, if somebody criticizes and finds fault and makes a big issue, Krishna is saying, if one does not follow this rule and derides a devotee for his accidental fall down, then one is disobeying the order of the Supreme Lord. Like that you see, Prabhupada is saying. Of course, Prabhupada also clarifies, no one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If one does not improve in his character by devotional service, it is to be understood he is not a high-class devotee. That caution is also there in the Bhagavad Gita. And lastly, Narada Muni also has given his declaration in this regard. Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam harer bhajan apakva atpatet tato yadi. Patet means to fall down. Bhajan apakva. Pakva means mature. Apakva means immature. In the fruit also sometimes we use that word. Pakka and kacha we say. So apakva means something which is not ripe, unripe. So apakva bhajan, that means somebody is immature in Krishna consciousness. A neophyte, generally, a beginner. But as I said, Maya is so powerful, even advanced devotees can fall down. Rarely. Bharat Maharaj is being quoted here. So what to speak of beginners, neophyte devotees. So bhajan apakva ata patet tato yadi. Yadi, he has used the word Narada Muni. Even if he falls down because of his immaturity in devotional service, there is no loss. This Narada Muni's declaration, there is no loss on his part. On the other hand, yatra kva va badram abud amushakim ko varta apta bhajatam swadharmataha. Bhajatam swadharmataha. One is able to execute his normal karmas perfectly. What is the gain? It's a very powerful argument by Narada Muni. A karmi means a pious man. Sometimes these pious people only keep criticizing devotees. What are these devotees? See, they have fallen down. See, they're not very strict in their practice. They're not of a good standard. What loss is there? The highest gain is he's engaged directly in the service of the Lord in his constitutional position. And because he is perfectly situated, he will very soon become a sadhu. Kshipram bhavati hi dharmatma shashvat chantim nigatsit. Krishna said, very soon he will re-establish himself in Krishna consciousness. Very soon. Because of his perfect engagement in devotional service and personal protection of the Lord. On the other hand, a non-devotee or even a pious man, even if he executes all his duties in Varnashrama perfectly, there is no gain for him. This is what Narada Muni is telling Vyasadeva. But a devotee, even if he is imperfect in his devotional service, the only requirement is he should continue service to Krishna. Never give up his service to Krishna. That is the only qualification. Prabhupada says that in the purport, the Bhagavad Gita. The only qualification of a devotee is to be unflinchingly and exclusively engaged in devotional service. That's all. We don't hear from anyone or any advice. We take advice directly from Prabhupada, from Bhagavad Gita, or from Narada Muni. So we take their advice and follow them. We don't take others' advice. Then we will slip away, we'll fall down, we'll become bewildered otherwise. So I'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai.